In the end, a price cap was determined for Russian oil, and everyone involved consented to it. The price has been established, and countries in the West are clinging to the notion that Russia's economy will begin to feel the burden of the price ceiling in the very near future. However, do you think Russia will actually experience the repercussions of this? What much of an impact, if any, would the price ceiling have on Russia's total revenue? And will the utilization of oil sourced from Russia all of a sudden come under scrutiny from the rest of the world? To begin, those who supported Ukraine's government had the intention of thwarting the expansion of Russia's economy in the oil sector. Now the United States and other powerful members of the NATO seem more inclined to ensure that a price cap does not cause Putin to cut down oil production. This includes ensuring that a price cap does not cripple Moscow's revenues and ensuring that Russia does not take a very large hedge due to the price cap. In addition, the United States and these other powerful members of the NATO seem more inclined to ensure that a price cap does not cause Russia to take a very large hedge. Both of these objectives should be prioritized. The Western world has entirely given up on the fundamental goals it originally established for itself. When it comes to imposing sanctions against Russia, Ukraine, for one, believes that the West is not living up to its full potential. There are a number of countries that are in accord, including Poland, Estonia, and Lithuania. Good morning, and I am grateful for your presence. Japan, and is the country in question. You are currently watching First Boost with Guy Sharma, and at long last the European Union has come to an agreement on a price cap for Russian oil that really has a price. During the previous 4 months, the European Union has been tiptoeing around the issue, but the price cap has now been fully applied. On Friday, the 27 countries that make up the European Union came to a consensus on the maximum price that could be applied to a barrel of Russian oil. They decided that it should be $60. Now let's have a look at how the price cap is really put into effect. Because the United States and Europe are home to all of the world's shipping insurance companies, the West has a monopoly on the provision of insurance services for all ships. Since insurance is required for any ship to dock in any port around the world, this gives the West a competitive advantage in the global shipping industry. Because insurance is required, ships will not be able to dock in any port unless it is provided by a company that is based in one of the G7 nations. Otherwise, ships will be left adrift at sea. Unless the insurance is provided by a company that is based in one of the G7 nations, ships will be left adrift at sea. The crucial insurance services that were once accessible to ships moving oil from Russia throughout the world will now only be made available to ships who are able to satisfy the $60 barrier that has been set by the governments of the G7 and EU. As a consequence of this development, the price of a barrel of oil sourced from Russia will now be fixed at $60 across the board. In the accompanying audio clip, the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, expresses her approval of the price restriction. The price restriction is intended to achieve 3 different aims. To begin, the efficiency of our disciplinary measures is improved as a direct consequence of this fact. The second impact of this is that it will have the consequence of significantly reducing Russia's income. And thirdly, simultaneously, it will help to stabilize global energy markets because it allows for certain Russian seaborne oil to be exchange broker delivered by U operators to third countries as long as it is sold at a price that is lower than the cap. This provision is only in place to ensure that the oil is sold at a price that is lower than the cap. This is the stipulation that must be met in order for it to be permitted. As a consequence of this, economies that are still in the process of developing will benefit immediately from this price restriction. On the other hand, Russia and the other nations with which it does business are able to easily control the price at which barrels of oil are being sold. They might be able to circumvent the price ceiling on Russian oil if they make additional payments on the side. Now, what would take place if all of the nations suddenly ceased making payments to Russia for other imports, for example, food, cereals, and fertilizer? It would suggest that they are trying to keep all of their payments a secret by asserting that they are for items other than oil. This is only one of the numerous problems that occur as a result of the price cap that the West has imposed on Russian oil. Another oddity that may be observed is the price cap that has been placed. You have to realize that even if the price of a barrel of Russian oil stays at $60 for the foreseeable future, this will not have a substantial influence on the total amount of revenue that Moscow receives. It is imperative that you comprehend the fact that the value of the production of 1 barrel of oil in Russia is around $20. As a direct consequence of this, Russia will emerge victorious with a profit of $40. Even in the hypothetical situation in which every nation fully complies to the price limit system, the current price of a barrel of Russian oil is close to $65 US. This is the case even though the price cap system has been in place for quite some time. In point of fact, Russia has been selling oil to countries like India and China at substantial discounts that may reach up to 40% in some cases. These reductions have been offered in recent years. According to the information presented here, Russia has been selling its oil at a price that ranges between $60 and $65 per barrel. The fact that Moscow has been pouring in money to the region by the billions of dollars is another hopeful sign. Because of this, the G7 and the EU's decision to cap the price of Russian oil at $60 per barrel appears to be a tactical retreat. This is something that has not pleased the more hawkish Ukrainian friends who are located in Europe. For instance, Estonia thinks that the price ceiling agreement that was achieved today is a step in the right direction, and they believe that it is a start in the right way. However, this is not adequate in and of itself. The goal was accomplished successfully. The delivery is not very good. The news came as a particularly rude awakening for Poland. In point of fact, Warsaw did not stop putting obstacles in the path of the European Union's attempt to move forward with its proposal to restrict prices until it was too late. However, in the end, it yielded to the intense pressure that was brought on by both Europe and the United States. Poland, Estonia, and Lithuania were among the nations that were among those that demanded a price restriction of no more than $20 per barrel. Despite the fact that the current price ceiling has not even come close to reaching that number, Russia is still able to make profits in the billions of dollars. At first, many countries in the West supported the idea of imposing a complete ban on oil imports from Russia. Then, it had the intention of limiting Moscow's revenue from the sale of oil and gas. However, Washington quickly realized that Putin had the ability to cut oil production, which would result in skyrocketing prices for oil everywhere else in the world. This was a realization that came as a surprise to Washington. They arrived at the verdict that putting a limit on the amount of oil that could be imported from Russia would be fruitless. At the end of the day, Western countries were able to reach a consensus on a cosmetic measure. This difference in price does not put Russia at a disadvantage relative to other countries. This is not a price ceiling that would have the effect of lowering the amount of revenue that Russia receives. A price ceiling of this nature would in no way, shape, or form contribute to the resolution of the conflict in Ukraine. What has undoubtedly taken place is that this time the West has refrained from taking another action that would have been counterproductive, and it no longer appears to be in the mood to make sacrifices for Ukraine. This is a significant change from what appeared to be the case prior to this latest development. So tell me, what are your thoughts on this price cap that's been put in place? To leave a comment below and share your thoughts with the rest of us.